time is now 6:30 p.m. I'm going to call to order the Tuesday, September 22nd, 2015 meeting of the Tilton Planning Board. The first case that we have this evening is Planning Board Case 15-19. It's a site plan review. It's a proposal to utilize vacant space at 215 Laconia Road for storage of inventory associated with the abutting Cap Outlet vehicle accessory business at 209 Laconia Road in the Regional Commercial District. Do we have someone representing Mr. Bernard or Cap Outlet? Oh, here he is.
Yeah, they always
All
were.
right, John, we just called the meeting to order. You're first on the agenda.
Okay.
So
I'm ready.
if you would like to proceed.
I would. Thank you. Hi, my name is John Bernard. I'm the owner of a piece of property next to the Tilton Tap Outlet. And what they'd like to do is expand and use that piece of property. We have the approval already in place for a restaurant there. So what we are asking for is a temporary approval for this, because there's someday in the future, we still plan to do the restaurant. This is the outline that was approved before. So we show this because we did have a house there, we removed the house. We substantially improved the lot, but we've also made the lot better drainage. So we're really not causing any more drainage problems that exist in nature, because we're not putting any structures up. This is the approval that we already have in place for it. That you might be familiar with. This was approved several years ago here. The other thing is we were contacted by DOT stating that any change of use would require a driveway permit. We talked to them and said that we'd not be doing a driveway, so they wrote back to us and said, no problem, you don't really need another driveway permit. It's such a simple concept here, I'm really not going to say much more about it than that, and any questions, we'll be happy to field them. Go ahead and roll up now.
And they're just gonna go from the business they have, they're just gonna go right into that piece of property?
That's correct, they're just
Where
going
are
to
they?
expand it. They are on this side, and that's their driveway entrance, or their entrance from their lot, from the city.
How many caps are we talking for that, John?
Well, cabs and trailers.
Okay.
We really weren't gonna put a number on it. I don't know if we can say they can only have so many cabs or so many trailers. We weren't even thinking in those terms. I mean, it's,
They have automobiles, you don't say how many automobiles they can have on the lot, right?
right, I wouldn't
No,
imagine
no,
you'd say
I
how many
was
cabs and
just
trailers.
curious.
And, you know, it really comes down to what the marketing mix works. So, you know, you only have so many different cabs. You're only gonna have so many different trailers, but they've run out of room, is what's
Okay.
happened.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to,
Oh, sorry, yeah, let me get that. How you doing, Joe?
all right. I'm opening up to the planning board. Questions, comments?
Does anyone want to make a motion to accept?
I think we have some things we need to discuss.
Oh,
Yeah, there's
Okay,
no,
we haven't
I
yet.
don't see an application, so we don't have to do that.
Okay.
What? Did you say you don't have an application?
Yeah, I haven't. Everything in one.
I don't. Maybe not even.
Which one?
Thank you.
Hmm?
Do you need one? Do you have another?
Hmm?
Hey, this?
how is the site going to be prepared for the storage, or
I don't
you're actually going to be displaying them correctly?
Yeah, I mean,
Caps, how is the site going to be prepared, asphalt, just
none. No.
gravel, just grass?
Absolutely. It's basically going to stay in the same state that it's in. There's very little loam that's on there right now. It's mostly gravel and sand from taking on the house. So we're literally just going to level it out. And it's actually, if you went out and saw it, it's very level now. So the preparation for it is minimal. Grading, sorry, I'm trying to shut this off.
If they're going to be displayed there, does that mean customers will be roaming about on the property as well?
Correct, yes.
Any motor vehicle traffic? on that?
None other than bringing the displays over there, I would say, this is Glenn, and I'd like to refer to him, he's the manager.
General manager of the Cap Outlet in
So-
Cap Town.
Motor vehicle traffic on that site.
Yeah, this is gonna be closed off to any motor vehicle traffic. They'll be able to walk out here, but I don't want any cars out in this area.
I thought that was your site.
Our site is here, where we are currently.
Where's your, oh, okay.
So we're currently here,
Yep.
and we're gonna put a driveway in the back.
You're gonna access
Across.
that just to load and unload?
Correct. Just to bring trailers out. Or
Will that
cabs.
also be the access for people?
Yes.
Okay,
We'll also have a walkway here in the front.
okay. Will you
So-
create any sort of path, or will the caps themselves kind of create the path?
We'll create a path here,
Okay,
because there is parking in this area right now in our existing site. So we'll create a path here so they can walk out in this area.
any planned lighting?
Not at this time.
Okay. That'll only be a daylight
Correct.
thing.
Correct.
And it's basically to store excess inventory.
And display excess inventory. Because as John said, we've run out of space. We do need some more space.
I see your
Oh,
self-storage.
yeah, I'd like to propose that before any more discussion take place, that there be a vote to whether or not to accept the application.
Does everybody have the application? Okay. Does everybody have an opportunity to look at it? All right, now I entertain a motion.
Well, anywhere it says names and addresses, nothing's checked off. Under required for application. Right here, right here, right
Yeah,
here.
I'm
You
thinking,
got laid down?
it's right here, it shows the current property owner with the address.
See attached, okay.
Those should be checked out, should they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can check it off on the original.
Yeah.
Say it's substantially complete.
It's not me.
Thought I turned it off.
Oh, what's that, a box? I went up to three. I think I went up to three.
It was 5, wasn't it?
Hello, how you
Yes,
doing?
dollar is, yeah.
He would change it for me if I were
Application, the third one is nothing, and then your existing
Oh, that's the
data,
third one there.
and then 2 down here. And maybe you can say just attach or something on the original. So if we accept this as complete, are we approving this waiver list as well? Waiver. Maybe that,
Christine,
and is that a name?
I don't know, I was gonna respond to the thing, the question prior to that. I'd say you probably have two ways of doing it. Maybe the most formal way of doing it is to make a motion to accept the waiver request, or accept or deny the waiver request. And then if the waiver request is accepted and it covers everything that's not there, then a motion can maybe take place to accept the application.
And I think the waiver,
Grades, drainage?
yeah.
I mean, if members know what his previous approval was, they know if the drainage and everything's fine. I like it here.
It's
I
last
think,
year.
I think you were here last year.
Is that?
I think so. It was last year, right?
Yeah, I think it's almost 2 years ago now,
Good.
actually. And
Okay, that was last year.
February 2013.
yeah. Oh, geez.
Was it 213?
Yeah. Almost 3. Not quite.
Close enough. Need three by the time I turn
Yeah,
around. boy.
So we have to do the waiver, we have to accept the waiver.
I don't know.
She wasn't here for the original, that's why she's hesitant to do it. You were, Martin, I believe you were.
So,
It's a level site.
you're talking about accepting the.
We're gonna
this
make a
waiver
motion
text.
to accept the waiver,
You're talking about this
Yeah.
document.
this document, yes.
And then,
Okay, so if you're suggesting the. That's
Another
waiving-
option, I suppose another option would be to simply consider the waiver request part of the application, and if it satisfies the elements of the application that it discusses, you could simply make a motion to accept the application.
yeah,
Which is a simpler way to do it.
It is.
yeah.
All right, I'm entertaining a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the application for site planning board 15-19 as substantially complete.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Opposed? Now, any more discussion from the planning board? Catherine?
Okay, so we have a level site
Yes,
Yeah.
that's pretty much in its native condition.
correct.
Snow melts, muddy, water, just not a pleasant place to walk upon. What are you gonna do in the spring melt?
Interestingly enough, that whole site is so sandy that then when they went to put in the storage line from the existing storage line on the hotel there, they couldn't do it because the sand was so active in falling in, and they didn't have the proper drainage, not drainage, but the proper ditch boxes that they have deep enough to do it, is what the story was.
That's on the hotel site.
As a hotel site, it's the same material we have beneath there, so it really never gets muddy. I actually had that as a snow storage area this winter, and you can go out there anytime, it's a sandbox, it's like playing in a sandbox, it drains incredibly quick. You do a test pit there, you can go 16 feet, it's all solid sand, and it's kind of a weird sand too, it's not even rocky, it's just sandy. So that particular site in that area, you know, how many flat lots do we have in New Hampshire? I own a few of them, but I only have one that's flat, and that just happens to be naturally occurring. It's whatever, when the glacier tilled the seed, it left a bunch of sand there, so it's not really, we're gonna put gravel on it to, you know, have a firm base, because the sand is pretty active, but and I understand about drainage, and I deal with it a lot, and on this particular site, because we're not really disturbing anything other than putting some gravel down where it, you know, it has some humps and swales, so it's not perfectly level, especially where I took the house out, I don't think we're gonna have that issue. What are you suggesting that we do?
I'm
for-
just thinking of customers walking on that and hazards, and that's where my mind is running. I mean, really, that's all that is to be concerned of. You're not putting in lights, there's no utilities. So,
And you're gonna be
No,
putting
that's fine.
gravel?
Well, we have to level it off, and there's little humps and bumps. When I took down the house there, you know, we didn't even level off that area. It has a little bit of a swale to a hump to it, so we'd be cleaning that up and just, you know, dressing up the whole lot so it's, you know, more usable. So if you look at his other site next door, I think this would be a good example of what this one would look like.
Well, I was recently on that site looking at the caps, so,
isn't there asphalt on the abutting site?
yeah.
Part of it.
Okay. Any other questions
Yeah,
or
when do you
comments?
plan on doing the gravel or whatever?
Immediately, as soon as we have an approval, we'll be doing that.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
Your snow storage area isn't changing, it's right there.
Right. Only problem I have is now, that's where I would have been putting my snow for my other lots, so I have to find another spot for it. It's actually a good spot for snow storage, but,
Catherine's got a lot of land.
yeah? I don't know, I'd be afraid to ask what you charge.
I just think of every cigarette butt. I don't think my horse would like eating.
No, it's not good for the horses.
All right, I'm gonna,
I have one more question.
Yeah.
How are you gonna prevent motor vehicle traffic from going through that passageway? Will there be a gate or a chain?
Some kind of logs or something that they put
There's
in.
gonna be a gate at the entrance to our lot. So there'll be a spot where people can pull in, but to get into farther into the lot, there's gonna be a gate there. There's a rope there now, but we're gonna change that to a gate.
And then you're making a path for the pedestrians on the other side. Is that just gonna be dirt?
Yeah.
do you have that much traffic?
We don't have a lot of traffic, but I just need more room for displays.
No, that's not why I was asking, I was
Okay.
just thinking, I mean, you don't have a lot of, people don't come in droves to look at caps and the way
No.
they would cars
Oh,
and
yeah,
car
no,
lots.
No, usually if we have, it's usually 3 or 4 customers
Yeah.
at one time would be the most that we usually get.
Would you like to have more?
Sure, I'd love to have a bus.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna open it to the public.
Well, I just had a question, which I think you just answered. I'm Bob McPherson, Tilton, Mac County. I have a property across the street. And so this is not going to be accessed only from his property next door, right?
Yes.
Tractors aren't going to be backing into this lot from the road.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? All right, I'll close and we go back to the zoning board. I mean, to the planning board. Oh, we're talking about the zoning board, so much change our minds.
Anyway.
The only thing I have is a condition in that this will be completely vacated prior to using it as a deli and restaurant.
Yes. Right, one of the things that I would stipulate that we would say that this is going to be a temporary and that the deli still stays in effect. I appreciate you bringing that up, but yes.
Yes, the condition is that it shall be, the property shall be completely vacated by the Cap Outlet prior to the use of the site as a deli/restaurant. Anything else from the planning board?
Do we have to state the gravel? He said he was gonna put it on, do we have to state it?
It's not mandatory, is it?
No.
Can I just bring up this, okay? And I don't know who's making the motion, but I had a thought that maybe a statement should be included if an approval were to go through, that the notice of decision, the decision should include a statement. I'll read what I had in mind, so the planning board can consider whether you would want to put this in there. The planning board recognizes this approval as supplementary and not preemptive to the February 2013 site plan approval for use of the site as a deli/restaurant. Use of the site in the manner represented within this September 2015 site plan proposal shall not in itself constitute vacancy of the previously approved deli restaurant use. And then all approvals shall remain subject to RSA 674:39, which sets essentially a clock for 5, in this case it would be, the project is vested for 5 years. If it's not completed in 5 years, it wouldn't be vested from zoning changes.
And that's here, if anyone would like to read it, that RSA.
Just to make clear that this statement doesn't supersede or it doesn't mess with 674:39, that still stands in effect. So I can continue on. Do you want to see?
Yeah, we can put that in, I mean, I'm not sure we give all the necessary words, but, okay. So you wanna read it, the condition, will we get, vote on
All right.
it?
Okay, reading the conditions. Do you want me?
Just-
I don't have to read it.
No, you don't have to read any of that.
Okay.
Dory's, and then that top, see the top one right there?
This one.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, just,
So just this,
yes, just that,
Okay.
and then,
that's mine.
oh,
It's
okay,
basically the same
And
thing.
then
Yeah.
what Dory said.
So,
okay, all right.
this use shall be completely vacated prior to use of the site as a deli restaurant, which is a little bit different. The planning board recognizes this approval as supplementary and not preemptive to the February 2013 site plan approval for use of the site as a deli restaurant. Use of the site in the manner represented within the September 2015 site plan proposal shall not in itself constitute vacancy of the previously approved deli restaurant use. All approvals shall remain subject to NHRSA 67:4:39.
We're gonna put that in front of the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah. Thank you for allowing the businesses to work well with the planning board. Some detail, just so you know.
That, really protects you too.
I
so that-
appreciate that.
Okay.
No, that's huge, and I just want to say thank you to all of you that helped me look out for my.
When's the sidewalk?
Did you see that on the 10K?
It's working.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
it's in progress.
He wouldn't even come have coffee with me Friday. I tried,
Too
because he was
busy,
working
right?
so hard.
I gave, we have a date, right? I think it's October.
Yeah, well, Dory and I were just
Halloween.
saying, you're getting close to that date.
I'm gonna go there right now. Just kidding.
Start working.
Thank you.
Don't forget to get that
Thank
invasive
you.
vine out of there.
You're welcome.
That stuff is strange. Where it came from.
It's very
It's been
invasive.
sprayed. Did you
Oh, it
know
has?
that?
No, I didn't. Thank
I
you.
asked him to go over and look at it, but when he was there, he sprayed it because he could access it all.
Right, we tore up most of the roots and prepared it.
It will have to be sprayed.
Oh, those
Probably
roots go
several times
down
more.
25 feet.
And it looked, when I was there Friday, when I looked at that Friday, it looked very healthy still.
And I think if we keep after it, it's on the right.
That's what it does, yeah. Thanks, John.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, John. All right, next is planning board
I'll take them out.
case 15-20, site plan review. Proposal to update the exterior of the restaurant, add a drive-through service, and reconfigure the parking lot and exterior dining areas at Dairy Queen Restaurant, 585 West Main Street in the General Commercial District. All right, and let's look at the application. Does everyone have a copy of the application?
Down on the table, actually. Yeah, right. Well, they all have this.
Must be.
Here's something.
So it looks like the fees in this application should be checked off.
Yeah, completed application for site plan approval, out of 200. That was kind of funny.
Yep. Dari, do you look at these at all before you give them to us?
Yes.
Probably already got the left. Me, it's more than one.
You know, somebody told me that. They didn't check it off. No, I said it right in front of us. So check it off.
Next couple of weeks, I'll do it. in the food service.
Yep, great.
Thank you.
Kinda.
Proposed drainage system. Oh, it says existing tree, create no additional.
Yeah, and I can explain that further. There's, in your narratives, right here, this kind of explains.
Oh, yeah.
Dari,
Yes.
when people put a attachments like this one and the one prior,
Yep,
there's a place under other information specified, you might just wanna put in there,
oh, okay.
see attached, that way we won't be looking all
Oh,
over
okay,
things that aren't checked.
right, okay,
Thank you.
yep.
It says attachment. This one.
Yeah, some of them
Yeah,
are.
well, yeah, but that's her writing.
Yeah.
She wrote that, and then she also, but if Dory just put it there, it would help us. Do you own another dirt? That's fine.
I have two daughters. So, they are the two.
I'm sure. They were promoted from Princess.
Yeah,
Valley.
right.
Yeah.
Jerry's still.
Sometimes there's sometimes there's. Glad I had boys. Exits. That's good.
You do have an extra one in there, looking at it sometime, give it, see that again.
I take it these are speakers.
That's the speaker you speak into to order, yes.
Do you have, what's the level of that? I mean,
I do not know that specific because that's a sample menu board. I don't have, my menu board was ordered or anything, so I can't tell, all of them are different.
no, I'm talking about the speakers, the level, the sound level.
Probably don't know.
Standard.
I think it was, yeah, I think it's the
Yeah.
same as any drive-through. They're probably a pretty standard setting of those.
Well, that's their funeral home, I
Yeah,
guess.
and it
Right.
is in the, when you look at the plan, that sits at the exact back of the building. So, as far as the distance away, it's as far away from
mean
the
the
road
speakers?
as you, exactly.
speakers.
It's as far away from the road as you can get.
Thank you. Your shed?
Yeah, it actually sits, this is the back of the building, and right off the back of the bulkhead. On the back of the buildings where the drive-through sign is proposed to be. So you've got Doug over here.
You should probably, accept the application and all.
It appears to be complete to me. Anybody find anything that's not with the attachments?
Seems to be all.
Yeah, everything else is
Make a motion to accept this application for planning board 15-20 as substantially complete.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
Now,
turn it over to you and you can talk to
Okay.
us.
Bear with me. Okay. Currently now, the way that the driveway works here is that, there's parking when you pull in from the Tilton side, there's parking in front of the building. There's parking along the grass area here. This is a gravelled area in the back where employees park. There's parking on this side, on Franklin side, and there's parking if you were to pull in from the Franklin side, there's parking in front of the building. Nothing is designated as to whether to enter or exit from either side. So we're hoping that this actually will ease flow of traffic because people will have it designated in and out of the restaurant instead of coming either way. We're proposing to enter on the Tilton side, to wrap around the building, have the order menu where we discussed, and the pickup window at the far right-hand side on the Franklin side of the building. We're also proposing to get rid of the parking spots in front of the building. There are 8 of them there now. We'd like to eliminate those parking spots and fence in a seating area. We would then get rid of the existing picnic tables in the grass area on both the Franklin and the Tilton side. We've proposed to put 5 tables in the patio area. There were 6 picnic tables. Most commonly, the drive-through eliminates the number of people that are actually staying at the restaurant. So we felt comfortable with downsizing table-wise. There are 23 parking spots still,
22?
23.
2 are handicapped right there.
Yes, there are handicap spots.
Might be able to see it
And, trying to think of what else, what other things there are. Just with the drive-through, there is the drive-through lane, there's a bypass lane that goes around the entire area, and then there are the parking spots. In order to do that, you can see that the parking had to be slightly extended. So the perforated marks there are the existing edge of the pavement, and this is the extension to the bold black line. So there's not a huge amount of additional pavement. The additional pavement is completely surrounded by green space. That's where we were comfortable with saying that there wouldn't be a change to the drainage, the need for drainage, and there wouldn't be a change to runoff. We would intend to take any pavement and pitch it toward the green space. There's a minimal amount on the Franklin side, a couple of feet in some areas, And then there's about 10 feet on the Tilton side of pavement.
Additional pavement.
Yes, the extension. This area back here this is the edge of the pavement, but it's kind of different. There's actually a gravelled area that sits up here as well. So, even that right now it's gravel. I know it's not pavement. But this pitches back, to the green space there. And
Will you be paving this or keeping
no, that will be paved. To keep everything in unison, because you're gonna have your spillover lane here, so you're gonna have your bypass lane. So if your bypass lane comes up and around, you're gonna wanna keep it paved.
Consistent.
Yeah, in these areas, we have proposed to be employee parking. As most of you know, if you've ever stopped in, we have kids. So we usually don't have more than 3 cars as far as employees are concerned. We should have pedal bike parking, so.
So this, let's see. This is the preliminary drawing where you have the dumpster off to the right side of the property, and this is the current drawing with you. Looks like.
This is the proposed plan, and that,
said preliminary?
This one says
yes, that was,
preliminary.
okay. So then, we must have changed it after that email. Do you remember where the dumpster ended up? Was it on the Tilton side or the Franklin side? It is, yeah. So then this proposed one is, yeah, that might have come out before this one.
Well, actually, is it, I don't have to give one of my applications away, it might be, this is the one you emailed, is that what they're
It
seeing?
shows the dumpster.
And the
Yeah.
preliminary, it's different.
Yeah, that's the preliminary, and unfortunately, that's different from the proposed.
This is the proposed.
So you should, right,
That's what's.
Yeah.
This is the correct.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And this is the same one as, do they have the big ones, or no, those ones?
We have,
This is the
they're here.
same as the originals that Dari has there.
I'm gonna tell you, I like the new driveway lot. 'Cause right now,
It's a mess. It is, and so the advantages to doing this is a better flow of traffic. What happens a lot is that you have cars coming this way, but you have cars coming this way, and this is a tight area back here, and they'll meet head on.
I don't know
In the
how
back
to,
of
I
the
don't,
building.
I quite frankly don't know how to get out of there safely.
yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, it
You
is.
go
because-
west, it's Grove Park Road,
Well,
little lights and turn around.
Yeah, but if
It's
you
that's
back up,
different.
if you back up and cars are coming in,
Yeah.
it's a problem.
Yeah, it's different, and
Well, at
this
least
is,
you're not going 40
the-
miles an hour.
Yeah.
the nice thing about also having a patio in front of the store is that this line can get backed up. And so now you've got kids and everything that are standing in this line in front of the store, and we've got parking spots that they're all
I think
pulling
anybody who's a Dairy
into.
Queen fan
So-
knows what mess
Oh,
it
yeah,
is
the
there.
kids are always sitting on the.
So,
the
yeah,
things.
they sit
The
right on
certain things, it's like-
the things in front
Yeah.
of the cars, and so, we're really hoping that it does alleviate, that headache and make things a little bit, simpler to get around. The other thing is that currently, right now, all of your parking spots go this way.
Mhm.
So you can't even, like, pull in from this side and use them. So if you follow, if you have a direct route of traffic, then they can utilize those parking spots.
Yeah. Much better, much safer.
Oh, I'm always, that's what my thought always is when I go in there. Am I gonna get out of here without getting crushed or having an accident? All right, I'll turn it over to the planning board. Are there any questions, comments?
Drainage. Currently on the building, what do you have to catch runoff, storm?
All of the driveway,
What's on the building to catch?
no,
Alright, so it just sheets off the building onto the pavement. Okay, there's no storm drains on the property?
No, they're at there's one here on the plan that picks up on the main road that picks it up, and all of the driveway pitches to the road, that's the way it's.
Right, that's a Department of New Hampshire DOT storm drain.
And
Not you.
then it runs from here into the catch basin or whatever it is,
So
down on
there's no
the
storm
Tilton side.
basins or any,
No, there's.
there's nothing on your property to keep runoff?
There's not, because the driveway pitches so that the water goes nowhere but right where it goes.
Well, it runs off
It runs off,
your asphalt now into
Right.
the green space, so any whales, anything from a car is not treated before it gets to the green space.
it doesn't run to green space right now.
Where does it go?
It goes,
Every bit of it
Right,
goes
and
down
I
to the
swear-
highway, so it's not treated before it gets to the storm drain.
it doesn't, the way that it's designed right now, it pitches that way, and I can throw a bucket of water and I don't think I can get it to go into the green space. That was the idea to pitch what was there so that it didn't add to,
And it says in here, your new area, what you're adding will be pitched to run into the green space.
yeah,
You
right,
see our
off of
concern, though?
We're
the
proposing to
parking.
pitch the additional paved surface to the border in green space. So there will be no additional runoff to the current storm drains.
Right,
So, all of what runs off your property isn't treated before it hits that storm drain. What you're proposing to add for new asphalt isn't treated before it gets to the storm, green space.
before it gets to the green space.
Correct.
No. And I don't know how much, I mean, I guess on the Tilton side, you might have something for a car that can pull in, but the additional on the other side is a matter of a short distance. I don't know what additional items there would be on that side with just a couple of feet.
You're still gonna have quite a bit of green space on that side along with the trees.
There's a lot of green space, and, there's, yeah, I don't have 1 inch is 20 feet, there's gotta be 80 feet of green space on this side, before you meet the tree line. And then there's gotta be 30 feet of green space before you meet the tree line there, and then there's a ton of uncleared green
I
space.
don't think we've ever approved property that lost all of its
No,
drainage
yeah.
to leave the property untreated.
I'd just like to comment, so the vast majority of what will become the impervious surface, it will have been existing, let's say, okay. So when you're done, the amount additional is a small percentage of what's gonna be, already have existing. What's existing, is going into DOT's system, almost all of it.
All of it,
All
that's,
of it.
yeah, there's,
Almost all.
Untreated straight to the river.
Right, so let's say if that's all an existing condition, and DES has commented on this project, so the owner of that drainage system has submitted comment, nothing indicating that they would be opposed. They did say they don't want additional water into their system, which I suspected they would say, and I advised the applicant to not introduce that runoff into the roadway system. So what they did, again, is any additional pavement is going to be sloped away, and there is, in my calculation, more than adequate, excuse me, capacity to treat that, to that water within that green space.
Well,
I, for one, believe that we have to take a stand environmentally and that allowing runoff from parking lots, from motor vehicles and whatnot to a green space untreated is unconscionable. And we have property before us that's being site planned where the runoff is untreated and going straight to a storm drain. Whether DOT doesn't care or not, I care. That's me personally. I think that we should look at this very carefully. Whether or not there's only a small amount of asphalt being added to the existing, this property that's before us to be site planned, all of this storm runoff is untreated. This could attract additional cars, more business. I assume that's why somebody expands the business, improves the business, is to attract more vehicles to it, so. That's just my opinion.
What is, what
They'd
are
be-
regulations?
Well, I think of that
And I don't know how do you treat it before it gets there?
You have to change to a black one.
proper catch basins, pitching it to a storm drain.
You'd have to
Curbs.
redo the whole black one.
So then if that's the case, then I won't proceed. And
Um,
it will stay as it is.
I would just recommend,
The other issue here is the signage. I have to admit, I am not agreeable with our signage ordinance, but what I just looked at, there is an existing sign on the building, which is the
It just has the DQ on the
DQ.
building.
This,
So that sign, from what I can see, must be non-conforming.
That sign was
It's
just,
40 square feet. An additional is 10% of the facade.
46.4 square feet.
So is all of this additional signage? Or is some of the signage going to require a variance?
yeah, I mean, in my mind, I think, maybe a good way to handle the signage would be to say, you know, perhaps put a condition that, says signage will, you know, sign permitting must be conducted through the code enforcement officer.
right, and honestly, this came to me as their program manual. Now, I just purchased this in March, so this is all completely new to me. But this is how they produce their manual as to what you're supposed to do with your renovation.
the Dairy Queen, you're saying.
Exactly. Now, if I went to them and said, this amount is outside of the scope of, then they may have smaller Dairy Queen signs that go up. They may have other options. This is just the project manual that comes as a uniform thing. So I submitted so that you would have a sample of what was there.
So as long as it conforms to the sign ordinances.
You know what I mean? And I
So
don't
pass
know,
it
I
like
don't,
that, and-
I don't know what their, I don't know what their stipulations are. If I go back to them, I know that on our road sign, there's a much smaller Dairy Queen sign that's under there. I don't know if that's acceptable to them when towns have certain regulations. I would assume they work according to what is required by the town in different areas. You know, it's just like Laconia. Laconia's, had to confine to, because it's a historic area, they had to build, with a different exterior.
Right, well, some
So,
towns won't allow drive-throughs,
Right.
so they change, like McDonald's changed their plan. So,
Where in Laconia?
so,
Where
well,
in
just,
McDonald's? Okay.
I'm just saying,
Oh,
generally
okay,
speaking,
all right.
in particular McDonald's. So what do we have for catch basin regulations that we have to go, that we can go by?
It's in our subdivision. But I'm not a drainage expert, so I wouldn't even know.
And I don't know what, I mean, you're saying you would,
I
you
would
would
do
do
this.
away with even the plan if you had to look into drainage. And
I
don't know what-
won't do this, and everything will stay exactly as it is, and it will continue to run as it does, because I can't incur the cost of completely
But we don't know the cost,
redoing
that's what I'm
the,
saying.
I can give you an estimate.
Well, if the pavement
based
pitch is
on-
one way, you'd have to rip the whole parking lot.
It would have to be a
up and change
complete
it.
redo
That's-
of the entire
You'd have to redo
thing.
the whole thing.
It's right here.
You've got whatever there, right? Yeah.
6/5/27 in the subdivision.
Page 27.
Rise the proper surface drainage.
It says that the drainage system shall be designed so that the post-development runoff rate does not exceed the pre-development runoff rate.
Surface water runoff shall be controlled and directed in a system of catch basins, pipes,
Like
swales,
swales, drainage ways, culverts, or channels to a natural water course or existing drainage facilities.
So about an existing drainage facility?
So, so it mentions the road agent. Do we have the road agent determine if
Yeah.
it's substandard?
So you're saying that the parking lot now is illegal? And not up to standard?
Grandfathered.
That's what
Yeah,
it
it's
said, yeah.
pre-development.
And the way I read this,
That's for road drainage.
Why is the
2,
existing
3.
parking lot illegal?
I
It's
don't
not
think that it
illegal.
is.
Okay.
That's what I
It's
was asking.
grandfathered.
Well, even if it wasn't grandfathered, it's draining to a drain, it's going into a drainage system.
Untreated.
And
There's
accepted by
treatment-
DES, which is the
You guys are on page, what now?
27.
They're looking at the road.
We're looking at the-
Drainage system for roads and whatnot, which really doesn't pertain, but.
Well, it does because it's draining into the road now. So it does,
No, not really. If you read the beginning pages before it,
Storm drainage systems.
what you're reading is the storm drainage system for roadways and whatnot.
Oh.
Seven looks like.
It says
too.
development.
Yeah, actually, I think if you're on 27, you're in the, maybe they are in the right
Yeah.
section.
If you
Yeah,
look at page
we are.
one, if you look at page one of the site plan review regulations, the purpose of the site plan review procedure shall be as follows and may be further referenced in RSA 674:44. To provide for the safe and attractive development or change of expansion of use of the site, and regarding in such conditions as would involve danger, injury to health, safety, or prosperity, bereavement, inadequate drainage, or conditions conductive to flooding of the property of that of another, inadequate protection for the quality of groundwater, undesirable and preventable elements of pollution, such as noise, smoke, soot, particles, or any other discharge into the environment which might prove harmful to persons, structures, or adjacent properties. And I go on and on. So that's really what we're talking about.
But is that of my new area? That would be of the additional area, correct? Because if I don't do this, everything stays exactly how it is.
That's because you have an addition that is already in existence. But now that you come for a site plan, the whole property is under scrutiny.
Right. So I'm just asking if there's something that can be done to create additional with this additional area that were added, or everything so that we're not at all contributing to anything, or everything just stays as it is. I'm not quite sure how to.
Yeah, can I just offer a thought? I mean, I think, again, the volume of water that's going to sort of remain the same, there's water going into the town, the state's swale now. The state has responded. The state didn't say we have a problem with the water that's coming into our swale now. The state said we don't want any more water coming into our swale. So in that sense, one could look at it now as really just needing to deal with the additional pavement. Now, if the additional pavement is a 10-foot by, let's say, 100-foot strip or 200-foot strip, the amount of runoff coming from that, in my opinion, is easily dealt with on the considerable amount of green space around the property. It's treated there.
How can it be treated there?
Because
It can
through
only be
interaction
properly
with,
treated, and if you look at everything from UNH studies and whatnot, and I've got tons of it in here, to properly treat runoff, it has to go into a treatment system. When you send it off into the
So-
green space, it is free to go wherever. You have oil, you have antifreeze, you have all kinds of stuff coming out of automobiles. I know, I'm embarrassed to say I drove one for 3 months before I realized the gas tank had a hole in it. Everywhere I went, that gas leaked out. I'll admit that, but having done that myself, think of how many other vehicles are out there doing just that. So, you let that run off into a natural area without going into at least some kind of
So I
retention
guess
pond where it can be treated, where it can be tested or held, or a storm treat system.
okay,
So
It's still a
now,
grass swale.
I would,
It's not a grass swale, it's a natural area.
I would,
It's not designed to treat stormwater.
You have gravel
I
now,
would have to say that I believe that, no, I have all pavement.
all pavement.
I
I
would-
thought you said
I
there was
would-
an area where
There's
you had
there's a
gravel.
small area in the
Yeah.
back that's, it's probably a 20 by 15 area, you know, it's a small area that's gravel. So then, a couple of things. The amount of area that we're adding, I don't know if we would get enough runoff to put into a treatment
I agree with
a
that.
treatment area. And
That's
my
how I
other
feel.
argument would be, we can attempt to make this area that would be new run off so it's not adding to the existing system, or we can just leave it and let it stay as it is, and then in that case, nothing would change. So we could at least take the steps with an additional to get that water to go to the green space, or we can just let it keep going where it is. I don't know what the difference
Well,
is. That would be,
how,
that would be
how does
my
the rest of the board feel? I don't think that you're adding that much that it would cause a problem.
There's
and
not, there's
number
about
one-
maybe 1,000
And
square
number
feet of
two,
additional.
if DES, DOT's not concerned about what's going into the drainage now, I don't see a problem.
DOT is the biggest polluter of the storm drains when they dump their calcium chloride into the farm out.
Well,
That's not-
I'm
But
not,
that's
we're not
not
here
me.
for, that's not our judgment call.
No, but it kind of answers the question about why they're
How
not
does the rest of the
concerned
board
about
feel
what's in
about
the
it?
storm drain.
I agree, because if we're starting from scratch, that would be one thing, but we're adding a margin. And it's not clear, we don't have a definition of swale in here. But I do think that the green space does mitigate some of that. It
Guys, and
drains
there's
it
a
because-
lot of, I mean, there's a lot of green space.
I am
There
more
are
concerned with
no-
the noise pollution than I do with any groundwater pollution. I mean, that because of the people who are there, that's my own,
Well, the hopes
Take
is to
on.
move them out, so they're not,
Yeah.
they're not all to staying around it.
So, far as noise, you could.
Well, I think we'll probably address that when we have audience participation, so we have some letters here.
They're only open until what, 9 o'clock?
Yes, only,
Usually.
only during the summer, 8:30 until Memorial Day, and then 9 o'clock. We tried 9:30 this summer on Friday and Saturday nights, and I won't do it next year, so it will stay at 9 until Labor Day, and then we cut back to 8:30.
Are there any other comments from the board before I open to the public?
I'll comment on the drainage. I see Catherine's point. Maybe can we see how much the soil is affected now? Before we decide on that? That's going into the green space. How much oil is already in there, how much gas?
What?
Because she's kind of saying this is your chance to either clean up the water or not clean it up, really.
Well, if they don't
Well,
do
there is no
anything, it's
water.
grandfathered, so
Right.
nothing's gonna happen, and anything that's going in there now is gonna continue to go in there.
And if I'm honest, the green space, I don't think you're gonna find anything in it, because none of the water runs there right now.
So if we change parking and everything, then they will run into the green space, yes.
The
Well,
idea
that's
is
because
to
of the way
pitch,
they're gonna grade.
it's
it.
just to
Yeah.
pitch the additional, to the green space.
I don't think it'll be any-
It would be, I think it would be very minimal,
I do too.
based on the area.
You said something drains this way.
That's it, this is the area that it drains to, it drains down here.
So you're gonna change it to drain this way, or you're gonna keep it draining this way?
Well, this parking lot as it exists is gonna drain the way that it did. This additional area, which is minimal, it's
It's
this.
this little.
Right, and
Right
it's
here.
this tiny little thing here, we will add to the pavement and pitch to the green space. This is all green space.
So we're not talking,
Everything,
no,
just
just
this.
this
Exactly.
little piece here. And I think it will be very minimal. Any other comments? All right, I'm gonna open it to the public now.
Recently, when the parking lot was redone, paved, and the signage was done in pretty much the same time, didn't they have to come before you at that time regarding, first of all, drainage, the type of signage that they were putting? They didn't have to do that?
Not since I've been here, so
No,
like
well, how long have you been on the board, Jane?
5 years, 6 years.
So what I'm saying,
They
the
were
signage
5 or
was...
6 years when they did the
How
last
long?
renovation. Well, the signage, I thought, was,
Because the front of the building and the new sign out front was done at the same time.
right.
And it's been that long?
I think so.
I thought it was 5.
Really?
5 or so, because we'd be coming up on modernization.
Now, at that time, wouldn't they have had to come before you folks regarding signage? And when they put the new pavement in, what was drainage discussed at that time, Catherine?
No, that would probably just be code enforcement, because they were in existence, if they were just going to put new paving in, that would actually, that probably would even go to code enforcement. If they were changing signage, that would go to code enforcement.
Uh-huh.
It wouldn't necessarily come to the
To the
board.
board.
You know, all the owners have been wonderful neighbors, and I know the Dion family, and I'm sure that they will also. And you can be sure that, you know, if they're pushed against the wall, this is a great deal of money, not only to go forward, but a great deal of money when they purchased it, hoping that, we want to advance Dairy Queen. I'm sure Dairy Queen is delighted. But when Dairy Queen says you do this, you either do it or close up, one or the other, being a
Yeah, you do have
franchise.
to meet their modernization
Yeah.
requirements.
I don't know, are you gonna have additional lighting outside?
There's a couple of things that we've proposed, because right now there is, there's not a good amount of lighting
Exactly.
outside. And so I've spoken with PSNH, and this pole needs to be, moved. And they will put a downward facing light on the pole and meter it for us. I also proposed with my architect, which I was hoping to have tonight, but he didn't finish it in time. But I've asked to have downward facing lights on the building, on the, like Dunkin' Donuts has, that's next to us, that are just shine down that way. As far as the patio is concerned, we would propose to put those little downward facing low voltage lighting around the patio to light that area. But other than that.
For the most part, in the summertime, you close before it's dark anyway.
Yeah, Doug used to have to call and tell me to turn my lights on
Yeah.
because I,
Nosy neighbor.
out of sight, out of mind. But, and by the time I remembered to turn the lights on, it would get to the point where I didn't have to turn them on anymore. So, yeah, usually we're wrapped up before that happens.
I can only say, to the board is, I'm anxious to see the work they're going to be doing.
Well, I think that's our biggest thing, the Dunkin', the Dairy Queen that's been there, it's been there forever. And we do have 2 small children, and our goal in purchasing this was to purchase something that they can fall into. And they have a fantastic time working there now, and they're hoping to be able to continue with that. That being said, I want something that people want to go to. I want something that's clean and nice looking and fresh, and that's the whole idea with the patio in the front. And it's proposed to have umbrellas and be bright and welcoming, and the intent of the drive-through is to make traffic flow the way that it's supposed to allow people to know, which way to go and how they can pull out and how they can park, and alleviate the dangers that actually are there right now.
I will give my opinion. I think as it exists right now, it's a safety hazard. And it's a danger to small children, and it's a danger to me or anybody in this room who drives in there because of the congestion that's there.
That's true.
So you're parked outside. So,
Well, yeah, but you got a car that big, so you wouldn't care. You could go in on your little motor scooter. So I
I
mean,
could park in the space with you as that motor scooter.
but as I'm saying, that's my concern. It's a safety hazard for the cities, and I think what little bit of additional pavement that's being added will be minimal in terms of any kind of runoff. And that's my take on it. I think it's an addition, a positive move for the town of Tilton, not something that's very negative that we want to pick apart. And my concern has been primarily, for those of you who don't know, the funeral home across the street, and Mr. Smart, who's the owner of that funeral home, has spoken very positively in behalf of the Dion. So, that, I'm glad to hear that. Is there any more comment from the public?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
In the back part of the lot, you have, 5 or 6 proposed spaces that you're going to pave over, and that's the runoff area, right? I was just curious, is that currently grass and green space, or is that the gravel place?
There's a good amount of it that's gravel space, and then it spills to
So there's already
grass.
cars being parked back in that general vicinity by the
Yes.
employees?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not new parking per
No.
se, it's
No.
just paved parking.
Right.
In that area, yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
I love Dairy Queen. I'm a Billy Bar kind of guy.
All right, any more comments from the public?
Oh, sorry.
Okay. I'll
The
close it to the
patio
public.
area,
Yes.
I may have missed it, is that raised and curved where the picnic tables are in the front?
No, it's gonna stay flat,
This
right?
thing, right?
So it's at the same level as the automobiles?
Yeah, it's gonna be
Travel?
fenced. It's gonna be fenced.
Yes, it's fenced.
It is fenced.
Yes, it's proposed to be fenced.
I couldn't tell from your picture.
Oh,
Yeah,
you might not.
you had mentioned it.
Yes,
You had
no,
mentioned
it's the black metal fencing that,
All right, back to the board now. Any other comments, concerns?
I just wanted to echo what you said about the traffic pattern being completely improved and much safer. And as far as the drainage, I mean, we have to go by what's in the regs, and it just says that the drainage, so that the removal of surface waters will not adversely affect neighboring properties, which we can't see that it does, or the public stormwater system, which it doesn't seem to be, there's no proof that it would.
Any more than it is?
And that it would, the water runoff shall be controlled by swales, which is are not mine, drainage ways, culverts, or channels, so, and also, you're not gonna use the catch basins. So it's pretty broad, so I would say it is being channeled, and I don't think it's gonna be adversely affecting.
I just want to also bring up the fact that, and this would have to be taken care of before,
and I can give you some updates on that too.
okay, but we need it in writing.
Okay, yeah, I
Okay.
can just let you know where.
There's
I'm
a
at.
conditional approval from the Tilton Northfield Fire and EMS, okay? And then also, there's William Rollins, who's the Assistant District Engineer, has some concerns. His concern initially was the width, I believe, of the entrance, and he said he didn't need any changes there because he had checked it out. The other was he had some concerns about the queue, because in Laconia, the Dairy Queen had issues, because there were more than 8 cars piled up.
Yeah, and so I discussed that with him, and I went back to my surveyor, and based on measurements, we can queue 11 cars
Okay.
before anybody ends up in the road.
Okay.
And Dairy Queen regulation is that you need to have 5 cars in queue. You need to be able to fit 5 cars in queue before the menu board. So we've got 5 that can fit in queue before we get here. So that allows you 6 more cars before you spill into the road. And that's like a 25-minute wait on a good day. So I don't predict anybody
Well,
waiting
yeah, you
over.
can't stand out there. I stood out there 20 or 25 minutes, it's like, is this worth it? Yeah, it is.
I'm almost there, I'm almost there.
But that is a good amount of cars to be able to queue. So when I spoke to Mr. Rollins, he asked that I just have Dave, who's the surveyor, add that to the plan that states how many cars can be in queue. And I also told him that I was happy to add a couple of spaces over here that would be designated as large order pull-off. So that if somebody has an order that's gonna take longer than normal, instead of tying cars up in queue, then they have a place that's designated to pull off to, and their order can be taken out to them
Where are your handicap spaces?
on the Tilton.
On the Tilton side.
They're right here, Kathy. You want to
She's
see?
still looking at the.
You're looking at the
They're right
little
up
one, here's
here.
the big one, if you want to see this.
I'm looking at the one I was given.
Yeah, but it was before this.
Well, I pointed to that about 5 times.
Too bad you didn't share. Thank you.
I said I offered it about 5 times. All right, I'm willing to entertain a motion to accept it with the following conditions, Madam Secretary. That we have a letter from the Tilton Northfield EMS giving approval.
You want to, that's the condition that we have.
Yeah, we need a letter.
Yeah, we need
Now,
a
may I
letter.
ask, you, do you want me to get, is that something that I get?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
You just need to call,
I don't
Captain
know, last time I told him.
just call Captain Jabir.
Should we be
And Helen.
basing our conditions on the district and the state of New Hampshire that we have no control over?
Well, we need,
What's
I
this?
think,
Sorry.
I think we need all state and approvals have to be satisfied before we can accept it. That's what we've always done. I think we've worded it, let's see, how do we usually word it? All state, federal, and local permits and conditions, okay?
Sure.
So just say
Okay,
all,
so conditional approval
yeah.
based on the letter from.
All state, federal, and local permits and conditions must be satisfied.
I think
Okay.
she's simply
Which-
saying that's the condition.
That's a
That's the condition. No.
No
Can we discuss
food.
this though, that we're not gonna say that anymore
Well,
because it's a given?
if you keep it that general, I think you're fine.
Yeah.
Because,
And you
When we
need to
start
get
getting
this,
specific.
instead of being specific, but you need to get
Okay, so I can call them back and just
Call
tell them that
Kevin
you've
Bear and
requested
tell him
something
that we
in
need
writing saying.
in writing.
Meet all state and
Because what he had said to me is that he had no life concerns,
Permits and
life
conditions.
safety
Okay.
concerns.
All right.
So is that just what you're looking for in writing?
Well,
I just wanna make sure that I get exactly what.
they'll give you a document, I believe, that you have to post saying everything, a permit. is
you know
that-
what, the certificate of occupancy
Yeah.
would
Would-
satisfy
okay.
that. So, when your project's done, the last step before you open will be
Oh, okay, because
Before
they'll
you-
do,
the
Yeah.
code enforcement
Okay,
officer
okay.
and the
He'll
fire
give it to
captain.
you,
Okay.
okay.
So that would work.
And that'll take
That
care of
works.
it.
Okay.
That works for you.
All
so you need nothing now, you need something on a final inspection.
Well, when the code enforcement officer gives you the,
Okay.
all right, so, that's it.
Is that it? Well, compliance with signage and lighting regulations, because it looks like they're gonna be changing the sign.
It's just the building sign,
You're not changing the
the
outside.
road sign stays.
It's
No.
It
still
says you're adding
signage.
orange
Yeah,
julies or
it's
something.
still signage.
No,
Yeah,
no.
so it's still signage. So signage and lighting ordinance, regulation. She's adding lighting.
And we do require that it be downcast if you set the plan.
Right.
You have.
Yes.
That you had, that you were looking at, was there any?
I
Signage
don't,
and lighting, she's changing the sign on the building. And she said if we require it smaller, it goes to Dairy Queen.
we'll go to Gary's meeting and get
Right,
it.
so as long as we just say she needs to
I'll
meet.
see if that,
It's
yeah, I
40
don't know what their options.
It's 40
are.
feet.
Yeah, and the current one is 46.4 square feet.
Is what the current one is?
That's what this is.
And what
It
is
said
the,
existing. and it
This is
says
what's existing, right?
46.4.
oh,
She
well,
wants to be
that
in
was,
compliance anyway with that.
this is,
Yeah.
this is
For
me
everything.
saying that this is the existing
Yeah.
logo
Oh,
sign. I don't know how big it is. I
Well,
can,
this is it.
call the
Not
old
40
owners,
square
that's
feet.
it.
That's, here it is.
That's it, but
Everybody has this in their package,
That
here's
might
a
be
picture of the way it
25 to
exists
30
now.
square
right,
feet.
but the square footage of it, I don't know.
It's not
So as long as it
46.
meets the regulations.
Not 8 by 8.
And I'm assuming that regulations,
Well, yeah, a wall sign would not be under the 40, that would be additional signage subject to being no larger than 10% of the
Yeah.
facade.
and I don't think
Right.
that is,
That's up to Ellen to decide.
yeah, not us.
She'll have to comply with it anyway.
Okay.
when she comes
So what do I
down.
have to do, get a
Just-
sign?
Yeah, I
permit?
mean, we can, you
Should
know,
have
after,
done.
yeah, tomorrow, we can just start the process.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, whenever.
So,
So
are
our first one, that would include DOT, so
we, no. So I think that's,
Alright, I make a motion to approve planning board 15-20 site plan review with the following conditions. That it meets all state, federal, and local permits and conditions, and that it is in compliance with signage and lighting regulations.
You putting in more food, I guess, thinking of what you
is there a second?
got. Adding some stuff.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
Yeah.
All right. Ice cream cones second.
Okay, I'll.
He is that or-
We close on Columbus Day, so I'll go as quick as I can, just because we have to get before the pavement permits close and that stuff, so I'd like to get the outside stuff wrapped up. And then I'm hoping to do some work inside and replace equipment and that sort of stuff, so that'll be a winter project.
Any plans on putting inside meeting, like, singing?
No, ma'am.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, thanks for
I
coming
don't think
down.
I've ever
Look, I'm
been to a
just,
Dairy Queen that had inside seating.
You know now, if
Yeah,
you
pretty
construct
struggling.
any
It's not
new Dairy
a
Queens
deterrent to
now,
me.
they
In
have
fact,
to be
many
around.
people go over to Dairy Queen when they have calling hours.
I know
Back
that
and
you're
forth.
right. Last time I was at your place and shot over there, I got a dilly bar.
Good to see you, Joe.
Good to see you.
Thank you very much.
Don't forget Scott.
I won't, thank you.
All right.
Yeah,
Which
your wife
is
sending some pictures.
full restaurant style.
You timed it just
So
right.
some of
because-
them can have the basic foods and still seating, but I don't know, see how that
Fill
goes.
up the hot dogs.
Yeah.
Exclusive to the,
I know.
who knew, Dairy Queen had an
Very busy.
Well, actually, all their sandwiches are pretty good.
Have you tried the ones in Laconia, the sandwiches, because I'm hoping to add sandwiches.
No, but I think it was some beach I went to, and I think we ate the whole time at the Dairy Queen because they had such good sandwiches.
Good to know. Thank you, that's thank you very much.
All right, next, moving right along, site plan, planning board case 1518. This is a continuation of the site plan review.
Congratulations.
It is
Don't
proposal
forget
to
Dilly
erect
Bar.
a sign on the front and back
I
setback
knew I should probably
and
add
drive
on
39
handle.
Laconia
Really got
Road
me
in the
for bribery.
mixed-use district.
Is that that fire?
It is.
That's
It's that fire and stone.
Fire and
It's
stone.
those people.
I keep calling it fire and heart.
Most people call it fire and ice, to be honest.
I call it fire and heart.
We had to actually get it on our checking account because people would send us checks and it'd be the fire and ice. This is a packet. It's not in any particular order, but so we're all looking at the same stuff. Just to highlight some stuff that I know is going to be brought up with some pictures and stuff.
Did you get your sign?
What's that?
Did you get your sign?
Which one?
Under your door now?
Oh, no, I don't. Maybe. Oh, there's one for you. Thank you. Yeah. I do have multiple sketches though. If you don't have to feel left out this time. You can have your own if you like. Basically, I know you guys have been great helping me go this way, which I really appreciate. We did go ahead and have the lot actually surveyed.
Oh, that's good.
And it actually shed some light. I was right by pins, but I actually had them, I wanted the true and right on all four corners. So they actually surveyed all the way up to Fast Cash and pretty much rewrote everybody's pins. They said they were all off at some point, so. It didn't work as much in my favor, but I'd like, having an accurate plan.
At least you know.
It still falls within what we're looking to do though. It's also posted right now with flags and everything. Put this one up here and then I'll give you guys a few. Oh. Trying to stay awake with coffee, but give me a shake, so. Alright, I do also have additional plans. That's just the only one that I drew in. I talked to Dari and I added basically to the legend, just a signal for the sign, which gives centerline dimensions and stuff. But basically where we're looking to go, I know a question was brought up that the telephone pole as well as the whole island and some of the other stuff was on the opposing property. It's actually not. This is the telephone pole here, and where the marker lines up, it's just outside of the telephone pole to the opposite side. So we actually have that area that we had. Where we're looking to be is basically inside of that line, which is pretty directly here, shows that we can accomplish. Basically, sign proposed is this little, pardon my lack of architectural skills, but it's a little shaded in triangle kind of dash looking thing. I wrote it up here into the legend for your guys' record as sign proposed. Basically, I did also write into there, because I didn't want to try to draw lines with measurements, so it made it a little bit confusing. So center line of road to signpost is 47 feet, white line to signpost is 30 feet. It is 15 feet from the sidewalk to the signpost. This falls within the DOT requirements as set forth by them when they visited the property. And let me just grab this here. A couple things. I know there was a major objection when we talked about that brought up was a deed restriction. First thing on everybody's packet is a deed. I did highlight the section where it's dealing with signage. There is a deed restriction, but as you read there with the deed restriction, it deals with building must be 28 feet from said sidewalk. As it says there, any sign or other structure which will materially obstruct the view of the building. So this is not a set in stone that has to be 28 feet back, nor does it give it a side reference point to adjoining property. It's simply from the sidewalk with the intent not to obstruct the view of said building, which was formerly Fluffy's Roast Beef. With that in mind, I did attach some pictures in there for everybody to look at, which actually shows we're actually going to be pretty much increasing the viewage of formerly Fluffy's Roast Beef with this, because the current sign, as you're coming down the road, actually obstructs Fluffy's Roast Beef. We're going to be removing that, and we're actually going to be pushing to the side of that telephone pole, so that one, where you see kind of that yellow triangle road sign, which I don't know the correct terminology for it, that's a double marquee there, that actually if you're in a car, that sign is obstructing Fluffy's as it sits right now. I did it from a couple different, viewpoints coming down the road to kind of show what we're talking about. And then I did also, you'll see this picture here, which I'm sure I'm starting to big one, but I took the sign and I measured it off to where the signpost will fall. As you see here, not only is the sign lower, and this will be a post which will further give visibility to that lot, but it in no way obstructs the Fluffy's, former Fluffy's building as you come down the road. So in essence, I understand there's a deed restriction there, but we're essentially actually opening up the view, if anything, to the former Fluffy's, rather than obstructing it, which is what the deed restriction was set in place for. Trying to be as prepared as possible for you guys. I'm sorry if I'm missing anything. There is also a picture that shows, as I mentioned, the telephone pole falls within our side. Where we're looking to be is just basically just inside of the telephone pole with the said new sign. So obviously we do still need a variance, which is why we're here today, to fall within that. Due to a real lack of better location, I wish there was an optimal location for the sign to fall that I wouldn't even have to be in front of you guys. As you see, not that I don't mind spending any evening with you guys, but over here, as you see, even when they did our existing sign is actually way worse for visibility. It's pretty much dead on the line. It's almost on the sidewalk. It's an eyesore. It's very old, So, basically we'd be bettering visibility through the properties. We'd be bettering the look of the signage that's there. And for lack of better, as you see, I have a patch of grass here, small patch of grass here. Like I don't have a middle island, which I wish I had, that I can throw it in the middle. Unfortunately too, if we stick in here, and I did drop the sign 28 feet back from the road, I would completely obstruct Fluffy's. And it would be not useful to me either. So that's what
To us of the lighting situation.
Yep.
Is the blinkingness or non-blinking or?
We actually got approval from the zoning department based on it not to change more than once every 60 seconds. We also did, if you notice in that drawing, there's a shield to the side that's inside from the road. That was something simply to, serve Mr. Moon. He's a very nice guy. We're very friendly. He was just concerned about any type of light because he has one window that's exposed to it in the distance. So we put that on there, which he, after that, gladly gave his blessing to the sign in its entirety. But yeah, that's what that side shield is on the side, to block that.
Oh, okay. So they gave approval for that, but is that?
Basically, what I was told is I had to come to you guys for replacement.
For
No.
what?
He's here for placement.
Oh,
Or
I
he's
don't
not
see,
ready.
any restrictions on your message. On the zoning decision.
It was written in for once every 60 seconds, because we.
It
Right,
says along.
I think I mentioned at a previous meeting, that was my clerical error, that not being, it was in the motion, it's in the minutes. And it's now in the minutes of planning board hearing that I made it, you know, I announced that I made that clerical error. Everyone is aware of the, well, you know, the applicant is indeed aware of the 1 minute, factor.
So what exactly did they say?
They said, it shall not change more than once a minute. Those aren't the exact words, but.
I get it, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another thing is it has to dim,
That's not why they're
between
here.
dusk and
No, I
dawn.
know.
Yeah.
That's in here.
Nothing to do
Yeah.
with that.
That's in here.
Yeah,
Yeah, which we gladly.
Intensity of illumination shall be reduced between dusk and dawn, but how much? That's not in here.
We had talked about that in depth too, when Barlow was there. Remember they said it drops down, and we also mentioned that if it did become an issue, like we told Mr. Moon, I mean, he's in my shop once every 2 weeks, and we just talk, and I said, you know, if it ever becomes an issue, he's really the only affected butter that's residential that has any issue. And his, like I said, his main issue is just the light at night, because of the medical condition he has. He actually is in front of that window at night, even though it's off in the distance. So we did, and you know, honestly, like, you know, Dari was there too. I'm more than willing to comply with anything. That's the big thing. Our major thing is obviously it's a big investment. You know, we're doing it to better the property, to better the look of the street. As you see, we've done a lot to the exterior of the building as well, and interior. So, you know, baby steps. I wish I could say I'm doing everything in 1 year, but it all costs. And we don't want a big, you know, this nasty gaudy thing or anything, or blinking. I mean, originally when they came in, you know, honestly, Barlow had a print that I didn't really like too much, and it fell outside of the sizing requirement. So I actually rewrote this at the zoning board meeting and redesigned the sign to, you know, fall within the premise that they were looking for. And I think it actually, not just has our names on it, but I do think it looks nice.
Now, how close to all these wires is it gonna be? It's gonna be right here. There's wires going this way or this way? Should
Yeah.
it come up to those wires?
No, basically where it falls, this
Here?
sign, the very top of the sign is 18 feet. It's inside of said, you know, those wires that you're mentioning. So it's not gonna interfere with the ones that go to the building, which are actually at about that height, at the lowest point of the building wires. They meet like DOT requirements, which is 14 feet.
So it will be up as high as these wires here?
No, my guess is, you know, it's gonna be back a little bit, so it's not gonna come anywhere near contact with these.
It's gonna be lower here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any comments, questions from the planning board?
So your sign's gonna blink?
No, it has, it's not gonna blink, it's gonna have a changeable message, which, I'm not even sure if I'm gonna change it all the time, but it won't change at an interval of any more than once every minute.
Something like Walgreens?
Well, something, it's not gonna necessarily scroll, but like if I say, you know, we have different seasons and, you know, we try to be as versatile as possible. So, you know, right now we're doing chimney sweeps and stoves. Come spring, we're doing chimney masonry, outdoor stonework, patios and stuff like that. I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you we didn't put a lot of thought into the location of this building. We want it to be on Route 3 between exit 20 and the 311 bypass, so that way everybody coming into town is gonna see it. Unfortunately, what we've run into over the past 5 years, and I literally had a guy in today that said it, he came in and said, "Did you guys just move here? We've been there for 5 years."
That hurts.
And we get it all the time. I mean, we've been #1 chimney business, #1 stove shop, you know, 4 years running. But people are driving by us 24,000 cars a day or whatnot, you know, give or take, and they don't know we're there. And, you know, part of it is obviously you can see from those pictures that if I was to put a sign in its current location where that marquee is, I'm blocked. And that's just one telephone pole. As you're coming at it, there's other telephone poles and other signs, and they basically create a barrier to see that sign. So, you know, we want to be visible. We enjoy being in Tilton, and I like being in business, so I'd like to, continue to grow.
I think another disadvantage is that even though there's a stove shop down the road where that flower
Yep.
place is, there are other businesses there.
Mhm.
Where you are, there are no other businesses, so it's very easy to miss it.
Yeah, and the other problem we run into is even like dealing with the side of the building when you're coming up from the Shalimar way. Our property actually dips, which is a real nightmare for drainage, and all the fluffies, comes into us. But
Yeah.
we're actually a few feet lower than the fluffies' property. So it makes it so people can't necessarily see us till they're almost going by us. And then I feel like when they see the sign when they're going that way, they're already by us because it's past our building, way over there. So we're just looking to, optimize. Like I said, we're not looking to make anything gaudy. We want to make the strip as nice as it can be, as you can see we've been trying to do. And, spend our money wisely. It is a big investment, so we're just looking for the best placement possible for it.
Any comment?
The setbacks for, this lot are 20 front, 20 sides, 20 back. But yet you're showing the location of the sign is 6 feet off the edge of pavement. That's not necessarily the state's right of way. And 6 feet from the boundary line. Is that correct?
Yeah, boundary line, it's going to be within about 6 feet. Edge of pavement, do you mean the white line or the yellow line of the road, or?
No, you're the one that's on edge of pavement.
Yeah, basically.
So where are you, what edge of
Which,
pavement?
I'm sorry, which thing you're looking at? I know Barlow had drawn up some things. 6 feet from edge of pavement, they're talking about my pavement on that side. So basically, if you look here, this has always been our intended placement for the sign. So basically, you have this here on this little island, and as you can see, it's roughly 6 feet from location to pavement there. It's roughly 6 feet behind it.
It's 16, isn't it?
16 feet
16.
from,
16 back from the,
I don't
property
know if that's
line.
Route feet.
Yeah.
it's
Three.
okay.
So what we have is-
Boundary is, and 6 feet from the property line.
Yeah, I came up with 15 to post when I actually plotted it. They have 16 to post.
What are you calling the property line? in
Is this
front?
what you're calling that the edge of your pavement?
Yes.
Pavement?
That's considered the sidewalk for Route 3, so that's where we have to come into compliance with the deed restriction, and that's what the deed restriction actually references. If you go past this and you look at some of the other pictures within this packet, and you look at where the mailbox is,
Yeah.
that's the actual sidewalk for Route 3.
You see what
It
he
does,
said?
it does reference a sidewalk going the full way, even though there's not one there. And you can actually see the change in pavement, where it happens. As far as DOT goes, their concerns were from the white line and from the center of the
Yeah.
road, which we came into compliance with.
The warranty deed says thence northly along said Daniel Webster Highway, distance of 105 feet to the point in the beginning. I suspect that's your boundary
Yep.
line at that point. Well, Daniel Webster Highway and Route 3 are two different things. I have the map upstairs that shows where Daniel Webster Highway is there. So you're calling it basically the edge of this pavement, right there. Now, this is town sidewalk,
Yes.
which goes through here.
Yeah, correct.
This edge of pavement
Did I show
is.
this?
Yeah, so if we take a
311.
look, she has a little bit of a better picture to show the differential.
Didn't I show it?
Yeah, there it
So
is.
is that what he's measuring from?
To said sidewalk, yes. So when I referenced 15 feet and he referenced 16, that's from this sidewalk edge of pavement in.
Not sidewalk, forget the sidewalk, we're talking property lines.
The sidewalk.
The right of way for Route 3 is what, 30 feet off center?
33 feet,
33 feet
yeah.
off center, so,
Route 3 actually narrows right there too.
well,
Yeah, it's
I don't know what you're talking
the guy
But,
that mapped
yeah.
the whole thing.
about. So for all intents and purposes, if we're gonna determine a line, a setback, it's edge of this road. Is that right?
Well, we have a actual plotted, signed off by a surveyor showing where said line is, and it's staked to the property. And it does fall, as you see, in reference to the sidewalk where you do have the pavement change.
Is this it?
Yes. Yeah.
That's your property line?
Yeah. And from that, I have 15 feet, they had 16 feet. I went out with a tape measure before I left, just to double check numbers.
And is the
Um,
property line?
I could have been a couple inches off.
The squiggle is the sidewalk.
There was a lot of
And
traffic
the
going
straight
by.
line is the
Yeah,
property
see, for me,
line.
there isn't really a sidewalk there. It's just,
It continues because the
A different
sidewalk
color
is right
pavement.
before.
yeah, I mean, when you get there and you walk there, it's,
And then I have no
You're
deed
walking across
restriction because
people's
there is no
property.
sidewalk, so we're through that part.
well,
There's a sidewalk.
that doesn't, so the structure needs to comply with the setbacks, does it not?
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is why, this is kind of how he got here. If you look at the zoning ordinance, it says basically, structures in the setback and commercial sites may be approved through site plan review.
And it was 15, I believe.
Where does it say that?
Section 4.3 of the zoning ordinance.
I believe we actually felt it was 15 feet from the road. And we felt.
And, well, I mean, it's, the stated setback is 20 feet,
Is that-
so I'm not sure. I meant, I recall you mentioned that. I don't think it's.
Page
Page
34,
The setback.
line.
So
That's
I'll,
his property.
I can read it if you'd like.
No, we
She's
can't.
saying-
Okay.
Unless somebody else would like you to read it. Items may be exempt from setback requirements. This is a mixed use, right? Okay, good.
Yes,
I don't know if good is good for me or just good in general, but.
Well, you don't want to
Explains why you're here
20 feet
anyway.
all the way around, do you?
Yeah.
That's gonna set your sign up behind your building, isn't it?
Yeah,
Isn't gonna do a whole lot of good.
no.
All right, now are we all set in where we know now where he wants to put the sign? And where the pavement is and where the road is?
The pretend sidewalk.
Okay, and the pretend sidewalk. All right. Any more comments or questions from the planning board? All right, I will open it up to the public. Any questions, comments? Yes.
I'm Karen LaFlamme, and I represent the seller on the abutting property, Fluffies. And we have a survey here that was done by Mr. Bailey, also Turning Point. And on that survey, this is where our sign post is. This is where they're proposing their sign, here. This is the line that the deed restriction right here states. This is a 28-foot setback. It's on my plan marked as 28 feet, and it's marked on his too, that's the deed restriction. So even if he gets this approved, there's a deed restriction that he purchased this property that basically says you cannot obstruct. This is where our sign is. When we come to put that sign back up, we're gonna block that sign completely. So all of his expense and everything. And this was, the deed restriction was put in there to not obstruct the
The view
store.
of the
The building.
store.
The view of the store.
Not sign.
Not
Doesn't say
sign.
sign, it says
No.
view
Or
of the
is
store.
that permitted for sign usage right now?
I
That's a
understand
whole
that.
other thing you'd have to go over.
And-
That's a civil matter anyway.
Yeah, that's a civil matter that we would be taking up, that would block the obstruction of this property.
Did you
And
have an approval of that sign to be able to put it where you want to put
It
it
was
to block?
existing sign post, but it's been out of use, so he's absolutely correct. We're gonna have to come back to the board. And because he has encroached on by 24 feet, or excuse me, 14 feet closer to this property line what happens when we want to put our sign 20 feet back here? And what happens to his view? And why are we going to be, penalized because he got a variance?
I can't do it on this and neighbors, you don't even
Yeah,
have a
it-
plan right now.
It's blocking the building, I believe that's how there's.
It's
Yes, it
blocking the
does.
building,
Has
but
nothing to
when
do
we
with the
come in
sign.
for a sign permit
I'm gonna find a new place.
and we apply for a sign, we can apply 20 feet off that property line, is that correct?
You can apply for wherever you want.
Yeah.
We can apply,
it's gotta
I'm
be
just
approved.
saying that,
Nothing
that
to
the
do with us.
the setback from that property line is 20 feet.
We just read in our ordinance where signs are exempt from that.
So we could come up to 6
Yeah.
feet on the other side of that boundary and ask for a variance, and why would we not get it?
That would just be spiteful, because you'd be
This-
blocking your own
This is
sign.
redundant,
Not
this is all subjective. You
I-
come in and apply for a sign, that's a completely different thing. It's a completely different piece of property. Right now, we're dealing with just this piece of property,
Mhm.
and,
We can't deal with the
whether there's a deed restriction or not is a civil matter. The owner of this property presented it to us, so it tells us he's well aware of it. If we approve the location of a sign and he decides to put it there, knowing about the deed restriction, that's something he'll have to deal with civilly. This board can only deal with what's happening on this property, not what
But as an
might
abutter,
happen
Mhm.
on the other property, so.
And right now, there's no one who's, I mean, the property may be for sale, but there's no one
Closing
on it.
next Monday.
Well, it's,
I mean,
That's-
tell us this is.
that's
this
gonna
is-
close next Monday, this is not next Monday. This
I
is
understand
now, and
that,
this is
but
the case we're dealing with
I'm
now.
representing the seller, that's why, at the moment, because we're objecting to this fact that he wants to put it so close to the property line. We're
I
objecting
object
to
to the way
that.
the property's been kept for the past 5 years I've been there.
Oh, no.
We have to keep to this.
No, we haven't talked about what we have before
So,
us.
you're asking as a, for.
I asked for any input or any,
Is there
or,
an
and you're not the property owner, so.
Where I have a
It's- it's-
signed
she's-
consent.
You're representing the
Yeah.
property owner, I understand that, okay?
She's been authorized to
All right.
represent.
And when I thought that
Did
was
you
on the
have
property,
something
he
you
said
wanted to
building
say?
involvement. So,
Okay,
yeah.
I think first of all, on behalf of the chairman, I'll request a little bit more order and everyone take their turn to talk. What was I gonna say? I guess it was mainly to clarify that she's an authorized representative of the current owner of that property. I do have a question though. I think that the planning board needs to consider the purpose of the setback. If the planning board's being put in a position to decide what can and can't go in the setback, I think the board should consider why setbacks have been put in place, and I'll just quickly read it. The purpose of the setback ordinance is to provide a buffer that is meant to prevent encroachments over property lines, safety from possible traffic accidents, snow removals, buffer from other land uses such as commercial and residential, as to provide open space around structures and lots. So just to keep in mind, although given the fact that the planning board has authority to approve or disapprove of structures in the setback, I just wanted to read that to sort of bring that to your attention, is that that's what the town has, that's what the zoning ordinance says is the purpose of the setback. So in deciding whether to grant or not, that should be strongly considered.
If I'm looking at this picture,
Yes.
where approximately in this picture would that new sign be? Is it where this,
Yes.
so,
Basically, this outside edge of this right here is where the post will
so that represents 16 feet from
be. Yeah.
No, 6 feet from the property.
there, 16
We're
feet.
talking about the
Oh,
road.
So that's approximately 16 feet.
Yes.
From the road, right? 16 feet from the road.
It's actually,
Center of the road? or-
center of the road is 47 feet to the post of the sign. The white line to the sign is 30 feet, 15 feet from the sidewalk, that change in pavement,
Okay.
to where the post will be.
Here.
Yeah.
Was it 33 feet from the center of the road?
The DOT's, DOT said that, nothing should go within 30 feet from the center line.
30 or
And
33.
which picture do you
We're,
have?
we're 47 feet,
Right,
so
I
we're
don't,
we're
that's.
well beyond that.
And where is it going to be here?
Right?
Okay, see this edge of the sign?
This one right here?
That's
Yep.
what it's called.
Yeah,
That's where the edge of the post will be.
okay.
Obviously, you know, I'm sorry to talk out of turn before, I wanna make everybody happy, but it's a little bit frustrating sometimes.
So it's gonna be up high and up as well.
Yeah, it's not even gonna block.
Block.
Yeah, that's my
What's
whole
the
thing.
width here?
The width at the base.
Oh, yeah, thank you, it's on the deed,
Oh,
thank you.
Yeah, right there. The width of the base is 2 feet 8 inches. And that's of the actual bottom of the base where the trim is, the actual post that goes up will be slightly smaller.
2 feet, 8 inches, looks like it's the,
Oh, you might be right, I'm sorry, it's been a long day.
Post,
Yeah,
right.
the post.
it's in.
Sorry about that.
But you'll definitely be in the snow
Far, far
storage
away.
area. That's still in there.
His
We
sign
actually-
pole is already
16
blocking it,
feet.
he moves it over here, it'll be
Yeah.
clear.
Oh, I know.
That's my pole, the thing is.
We actually started pushing back with the snow mostly, because of, visibility issues and being a danger. So that island we don't really use for snow. We've actually, we deal with a lot of snow there because we've been maintaining the
I
other
see
lot.
more of the states.
Yeah, we've been maintaining the
They
other.
must be moving their.
No, it isn't.
What's
No.
that?
Right.
Actually, the
But
town
yeah,
road
because
agent has
there's
been really
nothing
great.
up there now.
They actually come because we push it, you know, back on our property to the backside. But then, you know, we obviously have the side near the sign which can obstruct as well. That bank gets high and the town actually has been coming in because there's a sidewalk there and heavy piece of machinery and pushing it back, you know, which has been really great, honestly.
So this is before we're discussing the deed,
That's civil, I thought.
and why are we even discussing that?
We should do this.
I just asked, I was
I'm just
asking
saying.
him.
Okay, I'm just saying,
I don't understand why.
Can you tell me about the shield? The sign
Yeah.
isn't facing north, south, east, and west. South is kind of, the sign is here, it's kind of diagonal.
Yeah,
So what side of the sign,
the back side, so back towards my warehouse,
okay,
basically shielding Mr. Moon, and that's why it's pushed forward a little bit. He was just worried about any illuminating light, which we had also said, you know, we'll put it, you know, down at night. Obviously, the signs are actually designed to do that, to be less of a hazard on the eyes as well as less of a hit on my painting. And we talked in length with Mr. Moon at the other meeting, and I just said, you know.
so it's just to keep the glare off
Yeah.
Church Street?
Yeah, and he's quite a distance back. He actually only has one window that's exposed. As you see here, this is where we'd be. This is his barn. The window's actually all the way up here. The rest of it's all blocked by trees. There's just one window on the second story that he was concerned about. So, like I said, we want to do anything we can to, you know, have happy neighbors, comply. Mr. Moon's always been a great neighbor, so I had no problem, you know, saying, yeah, let's do whatever we can. So, you know, that's the big thing. I know we're looking at deed restriction, even with that in mind, and I know that it is a civil matter. I still want to be in compliance as much as possible with that, and looking even at that restriction, as it says, it's only to obstruct view of the building, which, as you see here, we're not going to do.
Well, it's something that you're gonna have to deal with down the road.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with us. so
Exactly.
We're just here to approve the sign.
Okay, do I have a motion to,
Do I have another chance to speak?
okay.
I'm here to, taking the deed restriction right out of the picture. We'll deal with that at another time with our council. But I'm objecting to the fact that it's 20 feet. This is the best visibility spot as stated by Angela, that, and once we have that there, it's limiting, which goes to what Dari read, and shouldn't be approved by the board if it's in any way obstructing a neighbor. It's supposed to, the sign ordinance is to protect neighbors and the people. I object to it being 6 feet off the property line, and when we go to place our sign, we're gonna have the same problem that he has. If unless we put it right up against him, then we're gonna block him. And if we come out into this area, we're gonna have the same problem, or come away from that property line more than 20 feet, we're gonna have the same issue of pulling in and out of Fluffies and in and out of the business as he would if he had to move that 20 feet into the property. And so by granting this 6-foot variance instead of 20 feet off the side boundary, it is taking away signage and visibility from here. And, you know, it limits us to what we can do. As Angela just said, you can find another location. Well, he can find the location to meet the 20 feet, because we're gonna have the same problem as soon as he puts it 6
Well,
You
we
still-
got
you
that
still
sign
won't
up,
have
they
20
come
feet.
into us. But it's not obstructing anything right now.
It's less than 20 feet, which is the
It
town.
doesn't have to comply with the 20-foot setback, we just determined that a few minutes ago.
But it's not obstructing anything that's there. It's not obstructing the building, and there's no sign it's obstructing, so he's in compliance.
We also made sure to raise it high enough so that it's not gonna obstruct any traffic going in and out, and also keep the post low, because obviously I'm sure you guys see a lot of these massive sign bases that are 8, 10 feet wide that tend to obstruct.
That's why I asked.
Yeah, we went for a very small one so that it's safe. I mean, I myself have trucks pulling in the back warehouse all day, albeit, 18-wheelers for delivery purposes, my own service trucks going in and out all day. I want them to be as safe as possible as well. This whole thing was done with everybody's safety and, benefit in mind. I do understand what you're saying, and I can appreciate that, but unfortunately, I can't do a what if, what's that building gonna be, and so forth, and base my future and my business's, viability based on what might be approved to go next door. So,
I'm gonna close it to the public now, back to the planning board. Can I have a motion?
Oh, there it is. That's when my agenda went.
Excuse me.
Okay, well, you did before, no, you took something else. Okay, I make a motion to accept and approve planning board case 15-18. To erect a sign within the front and side setback of 539 Laconia Road in the mixed-use district.
Second.
All in favor?
Have a
Opposed?
good discussion on the motion. Did that,
The what?
did that specifically state the location, or did we at least reference
The motion.
this drawing?
Vote on it.
I was trying to
Do you want-
listen, but
do you want this one, which actually shows the
Okay.
distance? I'm sorry.
I sure the code enforcement officer would love to have a big one.
The,
But did the motion reference specifically
Do you want a blank one? It's just-
No.
No, we did, no, it's the front and side
Just-
setback.
amend it to include whatever?
Okay.
We
Yeah.
already voted on it, so.
well, there should have been opportunity for discussion before.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
just,
Add,
amend the motion
Amend the
to
motion.
include whatever document he's got.
What is the parameters of the setback? What? I don't have that.
label that exhibit A.
Yeah, you can go to
Yeah, so take
Yeah.
that and add it to
the sheet provided from, Barlow Signs.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a date, dated 6/12/15. For fire and stone. That should be enough of a reference,
Yeah,
which is this document,
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
which has the dimensions.
Do you want
Do you have that
to make
there?
a formal?
That paper she has?
Yeah, so the motion, as I understand it, would be that Ms. Grace moved to accept as represented in the plan. Is that what?
Plan dated
Okay.
And the data
Okay.
plan.
6/12/15 from Barlow Sign.
All right.
Who seconded
Julia.
to be accepted amendment?
Second.
Discussion? No discussion. All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night.
Can you get some coffee and a donut, take a stretch break since we, is that all right with everybody?
Muffins, they have muffins over there. Hungry.
Yeah, really. My body thinks it is.
I know you do kind of get stiff sitting.
Oh, man. Yeah. Love this guy.
It's okay with everyone, I'm gonna leave the recording devices on so we don't have a
Okay,
two-part
don't anybody
video.
swear. There's sugar here. Want sugar? Over the sweet and low. Covered. Cups. Got a little bit of everything here.
You said it was decaf, right?
Yes, he said it was decaf. Can't show up at night with coffee and let it be high test. I just can't do it.
Caffeine doesn't do that to me. I can fall asleep and drink coffee all night long.
Well, he's still young. Trust me. Oh, yeah. Well, I usually take Tylenol for a break there.
I had to go.
Still.
I have
Somebody.
because I have further one of my medications.
Whatever they do on the
Drains
Oh.
came out with
Ah,
Yeah, that's just what I mean. Putting on them,
not having
Copain, Copain,
There's a muscle
it helps out vertigo and tinnitus or tinnitus, stroke fertility, helps you
oh.
memory,
Whitish house.
it shoots
No,
oxygenated blood to your vein. It's not new, but it's,
No, I mean,
they're
just really.
talking about it more because it works so well.
Is it a pill?
Sometime in the 60s or 70s.
Yeah.
It's the strongest, because I had it, the strongest one, Imitrex, you can get 110 milligrams,
They
but
just did
then you have methylene, which adjusts your equilibrium.
Oh,
But all those things are good because the medication they give you for that.
Catherine, what was the name of that store with the gas
Blocks
tank?
memory.
yeah,
What?
So that's
Recall what the
actually,
name of the store was?
for me, the bookstore.
Where the
Yeah.
gas tank.
well, I'll get that
Fluffy.
thing in my
It was
purse.
Fluffy's
I'll
there too.
read it.
Yeah, because
And they have
memory is
clinics
the
there,
biggest
too.
thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
yes.
so, like, I don't even remember.
An hour ago, I drank.
I have to see a
Numbers
picture.
what?
Yeah,
When I
they
first
ruined
went
the
on
water.
by, I go,
Because that was
you know what I mean?
very
Well, that's why Rockland has a water system.
You know, and this
Blocks
helps
everything.
When they
that.
won the lawsuit,
Alzheimer's patients, it's
We
helping
used
they created the
to,
district and they created that
which is
system. Hard
It's a
little
Alzheimer's,
spendy,
but it's not.
Right, it's a
Until
different,
Northfield, that was
Yeah.
down in
God.
here's a syrup.
Oh, the happens to you guys.
yeah.
He insisted that the money belonged to him.
You know that.
Very fair,
Right, yeah.
let's
He
say
insisted.
that.
I was on
Yeah,
the
he
board.
wasn't sugar
Providing
with the chocolate,
water
that's
to
all.
Lockwood, why would they go to
Well, we
him?
have to
Because
stay
he
awake
wanted
and eat
to.
it.
Well,
We need
yeah.
that energy.
Yeah. I'll
It was
use
a very
any
interesting
excuse
conversation.
I
I
can.
knew it.
Probably had a lot of laughing at him. You
Oh, no,
gotta
there
be
were some pretty
serious.
angry people when he insisted because he made a very good case.
Muffins,
Yeah.
and there's like muffins.
Is there trash around here?
Right there.
Sweet and low.
And there's recycling over here
Oh,
beside the
I'm gonna see
computer,
this some tea.
but those are garbage.
My cup's upstairs. Oh, shit. I don't feel like going up there.
No napkins.
Really?
Yeah, no napkins. Oh, I dropped a little on the floor.
There might be some in the skinny closet.
There'd be no napkin. We got 500 sugars and no napkins?
Closet.
Yep.
Light switch should be on your right.
Coffee cups.
I usually keep. No napkins?
Gail must have napkins. I bet you there's some upstairs.
Paper towels.
Go upstairs and see if
Paper towels.
Did you just come to get muffins and coffee and then leave?
been here all night.
Is this turned on?
It's on, it's on.
Joe?
No.
Yeah.
I know that it's okay with her.
Paper towels.
So we don't have
Oh,
You've been here all day.
next.
Paper towels.
thank you,
So
ma'am.
this is it right here?
Yes.
See, a lot of times related to any of your veneers issues, I don't have any of that. Mine has a firewall.
So neurons.
Yeah.
Yes, and it speaks
Helps
about
that?
that, me,
Oh,
yes.
so is it
Because that's part of the Alzheimer's. Your neurons aren't connecting.
Talking about us, Catherine.
napkins?
Oh. You know, it's like the electric, it's like
Yeah, like
electric
1 to
cord, it's
5.
not.
Wait,
See, I was like 20 or something like that,
What?
and
You don't
you
eat
know, they couldn't figure out, they sent me to Brigham and everything. Finally, we found that.
Real toxic.
My,
I think they do anything about it, put your.
no, just, yeah, and it,
I used my
I'm kind
favorite
of
muffin.
particular about that.
And
First it was
something
high,
I
high,
liked used
high.
to be the cranberry
Went
orange.
down, went down, went down, till as low as
I love that,
it,
and I
I
was so
can
proud of
go before
myself
it
because I
comes
knew it was so
down.
healthy.
So I'm at the
You know that
lowest
it has
possible.
more sugar
before I
and more
know it's
fat than
coming.
any other muffin there.
I
It's
used to
funny
make those
because
muffins.
I learned
I forget that we used to work for them.
That's how I bought my truck after Mark got hurt.
If I start getting it,
I wonder how Farrah is doing.
I was thinking of her the other day. I
Because
know,
now I bring it to
her.
first thing on that.
Oh.
Because I've had it in
I don't know.
I said, give me a piece of paper, give me a piece
Just
of
grab
paper.
the one closest to me.
And it worked.
Oh, you should share.
Yeah, I don't know.
I got some napkins.
Once a year, I think.
There's some napkins.
And some little plates.
There's napkins under there.
Oh, there you go. I kind of thought Gail must have something
So where is it?
going on, right?
This is why I,
And we got some more.
Oh, no, it isn't, it says neck.
Really like that.
Really
I
do
leave
that.
the top of my cup
No,
over
leave
there
that,
that I
but that's
was
not
thinking
good.
through.
What did the top line say? Viagra for the brain?
no.
Shut up, Kathy.
This is registered for memory loss.
If there is such a thing, I
Right.
need some.
They do.
Yeah, chair.
But they call it, like Viagra works for men,
Oh,
well,
this is
this
for
is
your
a part
Oh.
Chairs that you put-
brain, it's
Good
like
idea.
Viagra for men. So-
I was still up there with
All right,
the
now that we,
Oh,
well,
here
since
it
we're
is.
on camera,
There you go.
Okay.
okay?
Oh, it's going to
Thank
camera.
God we
Now
have
we're on
that.
camera, stuff your face quick.
I don't know, did he shut the audio off?
No, we did not.
Yeah, it's
He
on.
told
All right,
us.
it isn't played for
But
the
I wasn't
public.
swearing
It's only
or
played for
anything.
Dory's amusement.
All right,
He is amused.
moving right along. The next order of business is the planning board workshop. And in view of the hour, but this happens all the time.
Yeah.
And we've got a town meeting coming, and we've all agreed to the fact that we have some major changes that we need to do, and we need to do them quickly. And we don't have, so I would like to make a suggestion that we think about having cases the first meeting of the month and reserving the second meeting of the month for a workshop and we will do this until get ready for town meeting. Maybe not forever do that, but between now and town meeting.
When is the deadline for submission of these? It's
I-
not the same as the selectmen's
No, it's
warrant.
Right, I don't
Isn't
have
it
the
November?
calendar yet. Eric brought this up last time, I said as soon as.
Why don't we
calendar-
have the calendar yet?
Well, I thought that it hadn't been released yet. If it has been released, I thought it hadn't. But, I don't know the answer, I'm sorry.
You're fired.
Can you find that answer out? Even if it means that you have to make a phone call as opposed to waiting for the mail to come in?
Yes.
Wow.
I said that,
No,
I'm
I know.
smiling when I say that.
I know, find out, okay, yeah.
Because we do, but how do people feel about what I just suggested?
The only thing I wouldn't want to happen is if it's gonna adversely put somebody further out.
Right.
I mean, if they need to get it done, we should still have them on the zone. I mean, on the.
Well, why don't we do it that way? If it's really an important, something like that, schedule that, but nothing else.
No, they might have done zoning and done all this, and then they gotta get something done by winter. I don't know. I'm just saying I wouldn't want it to adversely affect something.
Right.
If
The only,
anybody's coming in between wanting to get paving done before winter, they're in trouble anyway. 'Cause the paving companies stop paving.
Right.
I think, it was my intent, I think I said I was gonna already do what Chairman Alden just said. And in fact, when the last two applications came in, they came in with this sort of, please as quickly as possible. And I folded and I said, okay, fine, we'll take the cases.
I knew it was your fault.
It is my fault, definitely. And so I guess, knowing that I folded last time, I guess, I'm kind of, I guess seeking, the board's backing on that. If I'm gonna be telling people, no, it's gonna have to be that first meeting. I would say, the planning board is required, planning boards are supposed to have one meeting a month, so the fact
I was
that,
just gonna say, when
Yeah.
I first came on the planning board, we only met once a month.
Yeah, even the zoning board doesn't have as many meetings as us.
Well, they would.
When I was first
Why
on the
not?
zoning,
Because they
on the
don't
planning
have
board, we met twice a month. But that was when things were booming. Notice requirements for public hearings.
Well, we can always jam all the applications in that first meeting,
And stay till 10.
stay till town.
10 or 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll decide it's really not that.
So does everybody agree to that?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, why don't we just, wanna take it, try it this month, in the next 2 months, and just see how it goes? and-
Well, we should
We
be,
don't even know the deadline.
Yeah.
We gotta do
we
something.
don't know the
Yeah, that's true, we
deadlines,
don't know the
okay?
deadline.
I'm not opposed to scheduling additional for a workshop meeting, it doesn't matter to me.
Just don't
Except
want
for
it
not
like
on
a
the day
idiot
after
when
all
town
this other
meeting
meeting.
comes,
Yeah.
Be
Well, we
unprepared.
won't, it's not, we don't do anything if they are there.
So if they come by
Just
petition,
don't want to be unprepared, you know?
it has to be 120, during the period between 120 and 90 days prior to the annual town or village district meeting. That's by petition.
It'll be the first part of January, first couple of weeks of January.
The planning board at its first regular meeting following the petition period shall set the date of the public hearing for each petitioned amendment. That's 675:3.
okay. There's, what I'll
So you
do.
can count backwards
Yeah,
from the second
what I'll,
Tuesday.
yeah, and I think that's how LGC or OEP or whoever does the calendar does it, but I will,
But
have.
they do get.
Make a call.
I'll get you, yeah.
It's nice.
I'll
You
get
should
a
ask,
calendar.
I'll wait for the
ask
mail.
if that calendar's
Don't wait
upstairs
for
on
mail.
the selectmen's table.
Okay,
Is
and,
it already?
and I guess
Yes,
again.
it is,
I haven't
that's
seen
why, couldn't
It might not
understand why
be.
we didn't know.
That could be the old one.
No, I think it's the new one, Ken.
I haven't seen it.
All right. Look at him, you want a red pen?
Yeah,
So the next meeting
Or
is the
big
first
rock.
of the month, so that's gonna have,
Yes.
Cases?
cases.
And then the next
And we
one,
had, we had people come in tonight for conceptual and Dari sent them away.
Well, I didn't send them, I gave them the option of leaving and not standing there for another hour and a half. And they took that option.
One of the things we should add to this list is to define what substantial completion of a site plan is. Because John Bernard, it's 24 months
Right.
after approval. He should have had substantial completion. Well, he
And-
doesn't have substantial completion. If you look at what they describe in the books, there's at least utilities on site. He hasn't hooked up any utilities.
Oh, wait,
There were utilities there, he took them out. I
there's
think.
two things, oh, really?
Yeah.
There's two things that need to be defined, I would say. What active and substantial development is, and that relates to the 24-month time frame, and then substantial completion, which is, yeah. And I think, Catherine, didn't we discover too, the ordinance says that if your town doesn't define active and substantial development, then that 24-month clock goes right out the window and you're just dealing with the 5.
And we've gotten into situations like that, like those condos out.
Yeah. We've been
And-
caught by not having the
Yeah,
definition.
and he said, well, I put gravel on the, I put some gravel on the road, and we had to accept it because we didn't have it defined.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Well, there's a whole bunch of, I started, make notes,
Mm.
swale.
make copies.
Well, yeah.
That
But
was a lot, yeah.
The zoning ordinance shouldn't seek to define all words.
No.
Right,
And swale has a,
dictionary definition.
yeah, right.
Oh, it
That's
does.
appropriate,
Oh, okay, all right.
okay? If the dictionary definition
swale
isn't
on our
appropriate,
property.
then we need to define
Oh,
it.
okay, so it's more like
Yeah.
phrases and,
We can make up another word. No, okay.
so we
Okay.
should have
And
a
then we talk about
dictionary.
duplication too, I think, yeah.
And we gotta make sure that when we do something that it's carried throughout everything, and the subdivision rules as well as zoning, have to make sure that there's consistency.
One of the things we need to do now that driveway applications are at the planning board is that throughout there's some language that sends it to the public works director.
Hmm. I would say that the act of, I question, or I would contend that the movement, that the act of transferring authority for driveway permits to the planning board wouldn't be complete until an amendment is made to the subdivision regulations, because the subdivision regulations, I do believe currently specify the
Yep.
road agent as that authority, so that,
But we only added that a couple of years ago.
okay,
Yep.
yeah. But it's clear that that's, everyone knows that's where it's going, and the select
Yeah.
board is,
We should do that right away.
okay.
So everybody's in agreement to do that.
Maybe I'll remember
Yes,
to
I do.
send you that driveway stuff. And maybe you could have it ready for our next meeting for approval.
A new driveway application,
All the PDF and stuff is in my computer, so you can take it and instead of rewriting it, just change it.
yeah, yeah, okay, I would say we could work on that, and certainly work on it at the next meeting, the actual amendment to the subdivision regulations that's gonna allow it to be fully active and in place. I'm not sure we can do it the next meeting, but I'll.
Just have to remove all those public work director.
Yeah.
Okay, this is
Okay.
beside the point, but I'm looking through our definitions and we have definitions like motor vehicle.
Which has a dictionary definition.
Yes. I mean, rooming house, that's definitely something you want to have in there, but
And
Sign?
something like structure, because that's been,
structure.
Oh, yeah.
you can't go by the dictionary definition of that.
Right,
It's the state's definition is what we have.
but
Yeah, but there have been some changes to, the zoning board has looked at it entirely differently than,
I think they've modified it, but
yeah.
it's like, I think taking signs out is a good thing.
Lumen, that's isn't that a science?
Measurement of lot.
Lumen, that's
Well,
like
it's a
I should like,
dictionary, I know, but that's a dictionary definition,
you'd want an electrical
or,
engineer's
Yeah.
definition.
right, so that's, I'm not saying we should take it out.
All right, we'll work on that. We don't do it right now.
No.
Okay, next we have correspondence. So we decided that's what we'll do. Everybody's in agreement unless it's something that,
Right.
you think we ought to leave that up to Dory?
Poor you, Dory.
Who am I?
I said, poor you.
Yeah.
All right, we have to review the minutes of the meeting. September 8th meeting.
Oh. Did,
What?
did you already do? Oh, I see where you're going. Got it.
All right. Everybody see any, everybody had a chance to review them? I didn't see anything either.
I really looked. I know, Dory, I'm just a mean old broad.
All right.
So make a motion to accept the meetings of the Tilton Planning Board of September 8th, 2015 as they are.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving right along, correspondence. We have a wetlands permit
Actually
application.
helps me.
Like Cropsies?
For 322 West Main Street. That's
That's Cropsies.
Cropsies. You know where that is?
No. No, I don't know.
It's Riverfront Park area, that area.
Oh, okay.
The Riverfront Place.
Wait.
This is Riverfront Place, it's right along the river,
Yeah.
it used to be the Tilton Homes Deli.
Okay, so we
Okay.
have a wetlands permit application. And,
He wants to do repairs to the building.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it would be tremendously controversial. I didn't have a chance to really investigate.
Well, I was gonna say,
So it's interesting, he's talking about working on some pylons, existing pylons in the water.
Yeah.
When the water is down, and it will be in a couple of weeks, they're letting it down in October. You'll
This-
see in the
wants to-
river where the old water mills and stuff were.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if you
Yeah.
read that, he's
repair and
Something's-
barge concrete piles and stone foundations.
there.
Stabilize any unstable riverbank sections, paint metal brackets and braces.
How's he gonna stabilize the riverfront?
That's fun.
The
Banking.
bank. Next is a letter to Dari.
That was maybe, there may be some duplicates of the,
Yeah. it's-
Comment
it's-
letters?
Yeah, it's just, it's the stuff from the Dairy Queen.
okay.
The things that we talked about. Then there are minutes of the Belmont Planning Board,
Agendas, sorry.
agendas. There's the Belmont Realty LLC for an extension, that's not something that, the annual extension conditional subdivision, request for site plan for the grade and construct a boat and trailer storage lot. Why don't we do this, if there's one involving something that we're gonna get involved in, I can think of two, like anything on our aquifer, or there was one on one of the, I guess an old fire station that we have been involved in. Please make sure that we bring those up and discuss those.
Okay,
Okay.
there was one, I think it was a planning board that I wondered about.
There is the Winnisquam Beach campground.
I wasn't sure. I didn't know if this might be
There's a plan submission and public hearing for a Parent Sand and Gravel, Inc. request for earth excavation and site plan approval to relocate, access and create access and scale house to service evacuation and reclaim existing evacuation. It's located on Waring Road. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know, it's in Belmont. I don't know where Waring Road is. Does anybody? I would think if it's something in our, that we would recognize it.
I'll follow up on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is a submission plan for Winnisquam Marine, but I don't think that's close to things, but that's it. That's it. Any other business? All right, guess what I'll entertain a motion for.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Yes, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, you're here, Joe.
Yeah, I'm here. Just walked in.
The camera's on, Joe. Could you turn that off, please?
I can't.
So I can
What about
jump on
this?
Dory for something?
Yeah.